I'll tell you afterwards because the mics are on. But trying to get you on more shows.
No, I will not make out with you.
What is happening, everybody? It is Monday night, and sure, there's a football game today, but even more importantly, there's a baseball slate. We just got some news that came in. The White Sox game has been postponed. White Sox Royals, so if you guys didn't see that news, get it out of your lineups. The game is not going to play today. Also, as you guys come in, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are sponsored by Owner's Box. If you guys played DFS over the weekend, you're missing out if you didn't play over on Owner's Box because they had a big tournament yesterday that overlaid a little bit, not like massively, but still did overlay. It only filled about 70%. And it's really fun to play. They had super flex over there. And something else you guys should also take note of is when you sign up at Owner's Box using the link that we have below, you get 1 free week of our football package. If you signed up last week, it was 1 free month. That has gone down to 1 free week, but still, reason to sign up over at Owner's Box, get 1 free week of our NFL package, everything included in it. Projections, ownership projections, all the tools on the site, the Sims tool, contest generator, all included if you guys sign up at Owner's Box. Also, deposit bonus of up to $500 that they will match when you sign up for the first time, make a deposit. And one more thing to be excited about. I haven't done a show with Eric in forever, and he is with me to talk some baseball. So, Eric, what's happening, man?
Not much. Fun to have NFL back. That was enjoyable. Not enjoyable for Showdown last night, that's for sure. Jake Ferguson also can't catch a frickin' football, which was hurtful to me because 2.5 receptions, that would have paid awfully, awfully nicely and been a capstone to a nice afternoon for me. But alas, the most targeted receiver on the field by 3 targets on either team couldn't get it done. Such is life. But excited for Monday Night Football tonight. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers gets the absolute living shit beat out of him. That would be fun for me as a Vikings fan. But, it'll be fun to watch him play on a different team. I suppose there's that, but I still hate him. But looking forward to that game. Looking forward to Owner's Box. Looking forward to all the great things this week. How are you doing, my dude?
Pretty good. And also very, very important because in the YouTube chat, Sports Wiz asked us, what other games are getting postponed? New York, Boston also looks like a game that's going to be postponed. So I don't have that in my player pool, and I'm going to be taking that out. Anything else?
Is it really going to get postponed right now? Because it looked like it could have a patch. I talked through it on Lindy's Locks update because it had a patch starting at like 8:30. Again, they have to get the field clean. So like how much patience are they going to have? But I thought the White Sox game would get canceled. It did, or postponed, excuse me. Guess not canceled. But this one, I think there's at least a chance that if you get to lock, that they'll wait the extra hour and a half, 2 hours.
Let's see. Let me pull it back up.
Again, if we find out the news, then everything I just said is a moot point and it doesn't matter. But like, I haven't pulled it out of my player pool yet is what I'm getting at.
So my trusty weather source, Google.com, Google.com. Yeah, Google.
Silent G.
Google.com. Here's what they've got up here. They have it with, right now, it's raining. And then at the start of the game, there's expected to be an 80% chance of rain, and that is expected to last until 10 p.m. So about 3 hours past lock. So I'm taking it out of my player pool personally.
Okay. This is important too. I'm doing tip to tip. Point left. There we go.
Oh, you're trying to figure out how to do it in the YouTube chat.
Well, I was going to say, it's so nice. We just have, I know baseball starts dwindling down, but it's nice to see the real ones there in the old chat and everybody they're happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Do you want to know the easy way to do it?
How?
Just copy paste. If somebody else puts it in, you just copy their message and paste it in. That was
nobody said there'd be math.
Still no math. We're talking.
Sounds mathish.
Yeah. Listen, I excel at Word, and that's what enables me to be able to do these sorts of things. All right, there we go.
Okay, fair.
Control C, Control V, and you're all good to go.
Now you control your C.
Impossible.
Can't do it.
With that information, by the way, are you considering taking the Boston-New York game out of your player pool? Still going to leave it in for now.
The internet never lies.
All right. So it is, you're committed to playing the game then. No,
I'm not committed to playing the game. I would like to play the game. I would like to play the lefties on the Boston side at the top of this lineup at reduced ownership. That would be exciting to me. I do not think that you have to force it in on an 11-game slate. So probably looking like an all right spot. I guess, it is what it is, but 10-game slate now. Yeah, I'll probably remove it here at this point in time. You're a wise elder, and I'm just an inferior statesman.
Fair. You should listen to your boss more often. By the way, I also found out, not all the long, Mike, I'm technically your boss as well. Just some stuff that we're getting ironed out here.
Good thing I'm doing well for you, so it'll be okay.
Let's look at some pitchers now. Unless anything else you want to talk about as far as like overview of the slate. I do see Andrew Martinez in chat is pointing out that Ohtani is in the lineup tonight. Yeah, we've got Ohtani back in the mix. Anything else as far as like general overview? We got a Coors game. Anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, as soon as I finished recording, Ohtani's in the lineup, and I'm happy because I completely forgot that Seattle already invested a unit in them. And Ohtani moved the line 15 cents.
That seems like a lot for an individual
player. That's a lot for an individual hitter, but it was I have a freaking great ticket and then moved it 15 cents and then it moved right back.
For shame.
For shame. Don't think that's going to stop anybody from playing Logan Gilbert tonight.
Seems to not be the case, and that is where we could start talking about our lineups and the pitching options for today, because there are a number of really popular spend-up options today. Our chief among them is the aforementioned Logan Gilbert, who is projected for 38.7% ownership on DraftKings and $9,200. We've also got Framber Valdez at $9,800, projected for 33% ownership. Brandon Woodruff against the Dolphins. See, too much football.
Drink.
The Marlins. Marlins. Brandon Woodruff projected for 24.3% ownership. And they've got Tyler Glasnow against your Minnesota Twins, projected for 16.2% ownership. So we've got all these pitchers who are 9K plus, and all of them that are over 9K are projected for at least some decent amount of ownership here, Eric. All things being considered, price, ownership, matchup, projection, between Glasnow, Valdez, Gilbert, and Woodruff, who's your priority spend-up pitcher?
Tyler Glasnow by a mile. He's going up against my Minnesota Twins. He's got a 20.3% top 2 percentage, and he's the lowest owned out of all these guys, which I am kind of floored by. I don't expect that you're going to run into 14 Ks like you did last time out. I mean, it was just an absolute shellacking that ended up putting on a Boston team that doesn't strike out all that much against right-handed pitching on the season, sitting at 21.2%, actually 24th. So in terms of avoiding it, Boston 7th best in baseball at avoiding strikeouts against righties. My Minnesota Twins are first by a mile against right-handed pitching in terms of giving up power. Now, they do carry a 109 WRC plus, a 186 ISO, but when you get an ownership discount like this, where you're getting Woodruff, you're getting Valdez, you're getting Gilbert, the last two just being exponentially more popular, I'm very, very happy to end up rolling the dice. Coors Field, I know we're going to talk about that. It's not all that cost prohibitive, depending on how you build out your lineups. Bellinger's expensive, Nico Horner's expensive, but then you have a lot of cheapies to build around, guys in the 3,500 to 4K type range, whether it's, the catcher position with Gomes, Patrick Wisdom 4K, lots of pieces there that you can build things around. And, I'm going to be playing a pretty limited amount of lineups because I'm playing a lot of NFL Showdown like I know a lot of you are. But my big lineup that I'm rolling out today, there is no question about it. On DraftKings, Tyler Glasnow. On FanDuel, Tyler Glasnow.
Yeah, I just realized I actually have to update some of my lineups here to reflect the fact that I'm taking the Yankees-Red Sox game out, because I'm pretty spread out at pitcher. Like, I think a lot of the ownership here on these guys is warranted. And I wish I could come here and tell you that I'm taking some kind of crazy stand on somebody, but like, my most rostered pitcher right now is Logan Gilbert, but I have him in less than 30% of my lineups. Therefore, I'm underweight to the field on Logan Gilbert. I'm getting to some of Tyler Glasnow, but still, once again, I mean, he's 16% on. That's actually right about where I am as well. So all things being considered, ownership, price, and all that, the guy that I'm highest on relative to their ownership actually is Brandon Woodruff at 24%. Logan Gilbert, Framber Valdez, great plays, probably the two I'd be going with in cash games, but I'm underweight to the field on them right now just based on what their ownership is, whereas Brandon Woodruff, I actually am slightly to him.
Yep, I'm with you. I think everything you said made a lot of sense. It makes sense to be a little bit under on those guys, a little bit right around the field or a little bit over. And then there's some cheapies that kind of create some interesting lineups. I don't know what you're doing from a stacks perspective, but there's one stack that it's really hard for me to get away from playing today based on ownership. And I think there's a couple of pitchers that we just have to find on the cheap end. If we're going to lose Cutter Crawford, that's going to chop a lot of what I was planning on doing here. But Gavin Williams, somebody at 8K that I'm going to be over 1.3%. That's not all that surprising. I'm in love with him. I'm a little bit surprised that he's pulling no ownership down there in San Francisco. I know we're like dropping into like the 8K range, but I have a lot of cheapies underneath it that I like to get to. I think Luzardo is a phenomenal tournament option at his current ownership. Lots of pieces that I still think are very intriguing on the slate that you don't have to force in those top end guys at 38.7% for Gilbert and 33% for Valdez.
All right. So I had a good amount of Cutter Crawford. So I just removed him.
He was my highest owned pitcher.
And I now have my most rostered pitcher is now Brandon Woodruff at 30.7% of my lineups. So
Makes
still
sense.
A little bit spread out here. And then it's Logan Gilbert behind him, who also I just come in underweight to the field to just because of how popular he is, not because I think he's a bad option. Like I said, if you guys are playing cash games today, and correct me if you feel differently, Eric, but Framber Valdez and Logan Gilbert all day in cash now.
Yeah, I do not feel differently.
All right. Super chats, and we'll talk about some of the other cheaper pitchers on the slate. But we have a super chat here from our guy, Jorge Giacomi. And by the way, if you guys want to help us out and support the channel, just like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do appreciate it. Jorge, first, giving a shout out to Greg. Thanks for the NFL Sims content. Hit yesterday, 9th in the Millie Maker. I saw you there, Jorge, right ahead of me there. Thanks, sir. And then as an MLB question, what are you guys doing with the Mets game in regards to the weather? And then any favorite non-core stacks? Mets game, is that one that you're leaving in your player pool?
It's there right now. Again, that football game is going on in the same stuff. The Lightning is the more concerning part of it. I guess there was reports of that. Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing, but it is not great. Not great, Bob. Not great. But Boston. Oh, there you go. Yep, I'm taking the Boston game out of my pool. It isn't out yet. But I have like all my little tabs for stuff, and I'm taking Boston out. I'm done with it. But I want to keep playing this Mets game as it stands right now.
Yep. Told you. I told you that game wasn't going to play. You didn't want to listen to me.
Well, I mean, now there's a red thing over like where the stadium's going to be, and that seems bad because I read Doppler. And I always drink Mr. Coffee when I'm looking at Mr. Doppler.
Like I told you, there's that website, Google, and it's got all the information. You just look at MLB weather, and it comes up. It tells you all the weather. Anyway, Jorge, I'm leaving the Mets game in for now. I don't live all that far from New York City. It's overcast. It's expected to rain, but it's not something where I think it's going to lead to the game being canceled. I think that it is risky for the pitchers because we could get rain that pops up and causes an in-game delay. Not one that I think you have to remove from your player pool altogether. The other thing that he's asked us, what is our favorite non-core stack for the game? By the way, overall on the slate, I have a bunch of exposure to Coors Field. I'm going to be having the Cubs my most roster team. They're popular. I think it's warranted. But the other side of this, Eric, which team are you getting the most exposure to that is not at Coors Field?
The Houston Astros.
Okay. Would you like to expand on why? So,
okay.
Well,
for one, I think the opener is actually going to be a very good big league pitcher, Mason Miller. The problem is Mason Miller is not going to be out there for very long, and it's going to assume to be Ken Waldichuk, who is absolutely stone cold, one of the worst, formerly starter here in baseball, and now no longer. He's been sent to the Shadow Realm. He is now an opener. When you get a lefty in there, you've got a guy who's on the road, got north of a 7 ERA. And then Houston on the other side, a 126 WRC plus against lefties this season, trailing only Atlanta. Atlanta's got a 136. That's just silly to look at. But a 202 ISO as well. Power up and down the lineup. And then you have Coors Field where nobody's going to get there. I also think because of some of the prices, whether it's Jose Altuve 6,300, Jordan Alvarez 6,200, Kyle Tucker 5,900, you're getting them at ownership, I find extremely low relative to their chances of being optimal on this slate. I think they're just a very positively leveraged stack when it comes to the flip. And again, maybe I'm making some assumptions that, in a lot of the 3-max stuff that I'm focusing on today, people are just going to jam Coors, but that's what they're going to do. And I find Houston to be one of those offenses that, hey, are going to be expensive, like you're paying for a Nico Horner and a Cody Bellinger. But that upside, it is definitely there against Waldichuk.
Yeah, so for me, it's funny because we just got a question from Jorge about the Mets game. My team that I like as a contrarian stack for today is the Arizona Diamondbacks against Jose Quintana. So Quintana individually has pitched fairly well this year, and I've never bought into it. And I've stacked against him much, and it hasn't really worked out to this point, for being totally honest, because he keeps putting up these pretty good starts. But Jose Quintana is 34 years old. He doesn't have that big of a sample size of starts this year. He's made, 9 starts overall for Jose Quintana this year. So yeah, he's got the 3 ERA. He's got the 4.18 expected ERA. But go back to his numbers from a couple of years ago, 2021 for Jose Quintana, 6.43 ERA, 5.02 expected ERA. The year before, 4.5. This was only in 10 innings though for the Cubs because he got injured. So look at the game, the year before that, 4.68 ERA, 4.73 expected ERA in 2019, 2018, 4.03 ERA, 4.39 expected ERA. He is a very significant drop in velocity this year, Eric. Jose Quintana has gone from the last couple of years where he was pretty consistently around like 91.5 miles per hour. It's all the way down to 90.4 miles per hour this year. The reason his numbers look so good is because he has a 1.7% home run to fly ball rate, which just can't continue. So I do think he's going to regress at some point. He's only made 9 starts this year. He's 34 years old. The velocity's down. So I'm not putting that much weight into his numbers from this year. And you've got this Arizona Diamondbacks team. It's only projected for 3% ownership. They're fairly cheap. They're easy to stack. So that's the contrarian team that I like the most today.
Yeah, he's got a 28 ISO against lefties. That's absurd. The 75 ISO against righties is also absurd, and that's not going to continue. It's just not. So I'm okay taking that shot. Kind of like getting to the other side of that game, too. I like the Mets side of it going up against Davies, who 151 expected ISO, 168 expected ISO against lefties and righties, respectively. But a 366 BABIP kind of scares me a little bit against the righties there. And then just a 14.8% K rate against some of the lefties. But without DJ Stewart in there, who's been absolutely just murdering. Oh, he's in there batting 5th. Never mind. Yeah, I got to update something here because DJ Stewart is definitely going to be a one-off that I probably get to a little bit more now because I don't know what's going on with his power numbers this year, but they've been wild. But he wasn't in up until Friday. Oh, yeah, sure enough. He played Saturday, Sunday. It's almost like I missed that, Greg.
Almost like. Well, there was football. There was other stuff going on.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Also, DJ Stewart, if I remember correctly, this morning when I woke up, I checked Odd Chopper. DJ Stewart, I believe the number one bet of the day was DJ Stewart, like plus 580 to homer. I think that was the number one projected bet in Odd Chopper this morning.
Love it.
I that line is now. Let's see. What is it now?
There's no way it's plus 580 or I'm going to add it.
Let's see. I'll let you know in a second. Almost always FanDuel is the best home run lines relative.
Which is wild because they had by far the worst NFL lines last weekend.
The reason, though, is because their home run bets get graded differently. So it doesn't get voided if a player isn't in the starting lineup.
Correct.
So that is, I think, one of the reasons why it's priced a little bit differently. But the lineup comes out and it doesn't change the prices. So There's definitely some value from that sense. Anyway, we've got DJ Stewart's now plus 400 to homer. But yeah, he was like I said, he was like close to plus 600 this morning.
Unreal. Did that one get bet down just slightly? Looks like
just a little bit. Just a little bit. And we've got another super chat here from our guy Ace of Spade. And so he wants to know, as usual, a DK tiers question. And then he also wants to know what time my football show is on Friday. Yeah, so on Friday, Lofty and I do a show where we just break down the Sims tool and we look at the slate from that angle. And we also had Alex Baker, Osmo. We had him on as a guest on Friday. He toughed out having COVID and he was barely able to talk, but he came and hung out with us a little bit. And that show is at 11 a.m. Eastern time on Fridays, Ace of Spade. As for DK tiers for today, here's what I'm getting for each tier. And they give you the ability to roster a bunch of Cubs hitters today, which is something I think you want to take advantage of in tiers. Tier one, you have Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez as options. I go with Yordan Alvarez as my favorite option. Jose Altuve is my second favorite. Tier 2, you've got 3 players that really stand out above the rest. You've got Cody Bellinger, Nico Horner, and Kyle Tucker. I like Bellinger the most of those 3. If you wanted to go with the full Astro stack, I think you can make a case for Kyle Tucker. But as we get through this, I'm about to point out you can really stack up the Cubs a little bit here at Coors Field. Tier 3, I like Corbin Carroll the most. It would have been Rafael Devers if it wasn't for the shitty weather situation. So Corbin Carroll in tier 3 going up against Jose Quintana. Tier 4, we could go also Cubs or Astros. My favorite option in tier 4 is Dansby Swanson, followed by Chris Morel. And then you've also got Alex Bregman and Ian Happ. But number one overall favorite option is Dansby Swanson for me in tier 4. Tier 5, back to Coors Field. I like Ryan McMahon in tier 5. And then tier 6, but tier 6, actually, we don't have that many options because there's Justin Turner, Alex Verdugo, Gleyber Torres, all that Yankees-Red Sox game that we're pulling from our pool. So the next player that I like the most is George Springer of the Blue Jays there. So ace of spade. Hope that helps you out with your tiers lineups for today. Back to pitcher, Eric, because we didn't really get to talk too much about the cheaper starters. So let's talk on Dylan Cease now, who was a good matchup against the Royals. This guy's been wildly inconsistent.
That game got canceled, remember?
Oh, yeah, my bad. My bad.
Yep.
Oh, actually, let me refresh. Ownership's probably different looking now.
Well, I updated some stuff on my end. I've got Gilbert around 46% now. I've got couple of things on my end. I think did it update on our end? Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Gilbert's up around 39.7. I have him a little bit higher, but again, I'm playing a lot of 3 max stuff. So single entry. Framber Valdez, 34%. Brandon Woodruff, 26.6 now is what we have. 19.2 Glass now. It's kind of like fed a percentage here, a percentage there that's kind of filtered across the board amongst those top 4. And then Cutter Crawford has actually gone up in ownership, which well, that's interesting. 14.3%. Get ready to remove him.
Yeah, so I just refreshed our ownerships that we're getting. The view with now updated with Dylan Cease out. So yeah, me being an idiot, I just looked at the very much just reading what's on the screen, the teleprompter.
That's why I'm here to help, to save us time.
Well,
find the general and save some time.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego. Yeah, you could have put anything on the screen right there, and I was going to read. You could have told me that Dylan Cease was 130%. I was just reading.
Kicker of K Hunts.
That's, but by the way, we got to dig that video back up. I'm sure I have it saved on my phone. I have it saved on my phone. I'll tweet it out after the show.
Please don't.
In terms of cheap pitchers, now that we don't have Dylan Cease as an option anymore, there's nobody projected for north of 20% ownership that's priced below 9K, Eric. Is there any value pitcher that you like above everybody else? I know you'd mentioned Gavin Williams before. He's only projected for 2% ownership. Mm-hmm. Is he your guy, or is it somebody else you're looking at?
So I really like Gavin Williams, fastball specialist. That's kind of been his calling card, prospect grading, phenomenal on it, and velocity, movement, all the things that you're looking for Gavin Williams. Throws it up. I mean, that's like his only pitch, really. It's in San Francisco. It's one of my guys. I'm going to be over 2%. That's not really going to be an issue. Out of my 50 lineups, I'm definitely going to have him overweight. But for me, primarily, Jesus Luzardo going up against Milwaukee. I'm a little bit surprised to just see him at 8.4% because it's a guy who's good for fantasy purposes. It's not like he's bad for fantasy purposes. The K rate's already there. And then he gets a Milwaukee spot where they strike out 24.5% of the time against lefties. I'm a little bit confused, and not only just confused, but like what else are you looking for if you're going to be playing some of these expensive bats on this slate that you feel all that comfortable with? I mean, Pedro Avila, he's somebody that was like Chalk City in San Diego, got lit up, and now he's facing the Dodgers, so nobody's going to make that click. Gavin Stone's terrible. Cutter Crawford's probably not going to pitch. Ken Waldichuk isn't starting. Zach Davies has no strikeout ability against lefties, and Kyle Freeland is Kyle Freeland. So like, I'm looking kind of primarily 7K and above for a lot of my guys. I like Jordan Wicks at 7K if nobody's going to be clicking on him. Seems like he's not going to be a great strikeout specialist, but like it's very hard to find things that are going to save you salary on this slate. And so I'm just focusing in as Jesus Luzardo as a piece that's going to be a huge part of my lineups.
Yeah, I have a pitcher I'm getting a decent amount of exposure to that I'm very uncomfortable with for a number of reasons. Can I tell you?
Can I guess who it is?
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be Reed Detmers.
It is Reed Detmers, who I had the last time he pitched against the Mariners, he got destroyed. Now, some of it was out of his control. There was a play that should have been an error that was ruled a hit, and then he gave up 1 million runs in the first inning. They would have been unearned had that play been ruled an error. All that aside, he gave up so much hard contact in that start, and that really was the beginning of Reed Detmers coming unraveled because he was great at the start of the year, striking a bunch of guys out, wasn't giving up all the many runs. His velocity is up this year, and he's just been wildly inconsistent as of late. But if you look at all the cheap pitchers on the slate, I still think he is the most talented of the cheap pitchers. He's also facing a Mariners team that strikes out a good amount against lefties. Now, is he going to go out there and get his ass kicked again? Potentially. We saw him go on just a terrible, terrible run where earlier in this, what was it? Yeah, it was August. So start of August, he had the matchup against the Mariners where he gave up 7 runs. He followed that up against the Astros where he gave up 7 runs. He had to start against the Reds a couple times out ago where he gave up 2 homers and 4 runs. But he's only $7,100. I know there's upside. There's strikeout ability there as well. He's going to be on the road in Seattle as opposed to pitching at home, which is a hitter-friendly park where he got lit up by the Mariners last time. So maybe that helps a little bit as well. But yeah, Reed Detmers at $7,100, 18% ownership. He's somebody I'm overweight to right now.
Don't hate it, but the ownership's going to come up. It's just going to keep climbing. I think Cutter Crawford, once he's removed from the board, and we have a Mets game that's now in a rain delay leading into that game, which is an uncomfortable feeling. I don't know how many pitchers we really have that we can save money with, and he's the cheapest that I think I would really go. I mean, Jordan Wick, $7K, I guess, is $100 less, but I'm not going to anything sub $7K today. I just refuse. So as a default, I'm going to be playing him. Alex Cobb, I don't know what to make of like what his pitch count could be here in this spot. He pitched a week ago, but it's also something with a hip injury. And it's just one of those guys this is the third guy who's had some ramifications of pitching 120 plus pitches. And I went on a rant about it yesterday on the Lindy show, but like, if your goal is to like make the playoffs, win World Series game and stuff, you shouldn't give a shit about a no-hitter, especially when Alex Cobb has a perfect game on his resume. 131 pitches against Cincinnati, goes out, has a oblique or a hip issue there, 58 pitches against San Diego, gets pulled after that. So I don't know what his pitch count's going to be here, but teams need to start figuring that out because it happened to Lorenzen now, my guy, perhaps the best fielding pitcher in all of baseball, because now there's no pitcher out of Ohtani. How do you like that?
There's none. There's no. Well, also, here's my conspiracy theory. DraftKings and FanDuel intentionally tore the UCL of Shohei Ohtani so that they don't have to, they no longer have to come up with a solution for him to be pitcher and hitter viable. It's like, no, look, he's only a hitter now.
I knew it.
Pretty sure that's what happened. 90% sure. They did that, and then the 9/11 promo, and they're like, our work here is done.
And then also your FanDuel tweet the other day where it's like, they've had this bug for 6 years and just decided, ridiculous. No, let's not fix it with the brackets around first. They've had that forever.
It's the dumbest looking thing. Every single tournament on FanDuel, it's like pool first to first. It's like, why is this how you display all your contests on your app? But that's what they decided is the look.
Buffoons. Absolute buffoons.
Some questions in our Discord channel. One is from Tim Lee. He wants to know, what are some of the cash batters you guys like, if possible? All the Cubs. You play 5 Cubs today. You play, let's see, I'll give you the Cubs hitters I have the most exposure to. You play in cash, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Chris Morel, Seiya Suzuki, and Yan Gomes. Those are the hitters you play in cash today.
Good talk.
Right?
Yeah, probably. You can't play all of them with cost more than likely, but you probably can. You can get close.
All right, let's go ahead and see the next question here. Captain Akello wants to know, how are we doing single entry today on DK? Yeah,
what a great question.
We can walk through some single entry because that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out as well, is what I want to do with single entry lineups here, because my inclination is to not play any of the Cubs in single entry, or at the very least play a stack that isn't the Cubs. And if that's the case, right, if I'm making a stack of a different team, I could just kind of play the pitchers I'm comfortable with. Like I could go with Logan Gilbert and like Brandon Woodruff, or Brandon Woodruff, Fran Valdez. Like I could play 2 of those 3 pitchers and not really have to worry about ownership if I'm not stacking the Cubs. But I'm kind of wondering, what's on your mind? How are you thinking about approaching single entry or 3 max tournaments?
What is happening in the chat? People are out of their minds. I am approaching it like this because that's kind of what I'm focused in on today, quite a bit. And then I've got my 50 lineups or whatever that I'm building out as well. I really, really, really want to have like no Cubs exposure today and just kind of see how that goes. Kyle Freeland, I do not believe the fact that he's going to be better at home for the season than he's been on the road, but that's where it's going to finish at this season. I'm just saying if you extended this out sample size relative to like what we should expect for today, but he's just found ways of like surviving, I think is the right way of putting it at home. Over the course of this season, a 292 batting average, 1.49 whip. None of that looks good. 5.06 ERA there at home games. It's been a little bit better than it's been on the way. So been away. And then you look at this lineup. I was hoping the Cubs were going to put that 2K outfielder in play today. What was his name? I got to pull it up here again. They called up Crow Armstrong. That is his name from AAA Iowa. He was a flat 2K. If he had showed up, I would have been like, you know what, screw it. I'll just stack up the Cubs in all of my lineups and figure it out from there. But like, there is an opportunity cost. And my argument is that I think Houston is going to come in drastically lower owned. This offense is on, I mean, it's just on roids here lately. Just bang the trash can down in Houston with Michael Brantley back there, smashing. Chas McCormick doing amazing things. I'm feeling as though Houston's just a team that's going to be 1/10 of the ownership of that we're looking at here with this team, like what we're looking at from the Chicago Cubs side. Sorry, somebody's trying to call me right now. It's really ruining my life. But Houston, I want to be playing across the board. I've got them in 2 of my 3 single end or of my 3 max teams today.
I have 2 lineups I'm considering for single entry, and neither of them are Cubs stacks. They're going to be way too popular for me in single entry. In large field tournaments, I love being overweight to field on the Cubs. I want to make that distinction because when I run all my lineups through our Sims tool, I do end up getting to 40% of Cubs stacks. So I like the Cubs as a large field tournament play. In single entry, though, all these individual hitters are going to be like 40 to 50% on. We see this all the time in single entry. One team projects for way more ownership than everybody else. So I don't want to play the Cubs in single entry. With that in mind, here are the 2 teams I'm considering. One is the Arizona Diamondbacks. One is the Houston Astros. I'm going to be stacking one of those 2 teams in single entry. Still trying to figure out which one.
Arizona, that game is dicier now. Like, this is a pretty dicey little spot.
Let's see what my weather says now. Google. New York weather.
Google.
I mean, definitely has rain, but it's like not the same as the Red Sox game because it's an 80% chance of rain until 8 p.m. Eastern time. So about an hour after that game locks. And then it's totally clear the rest of the night.
Well, then there you go. That's the same thing with Boston, though.
No, Boston's until 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, got it. Yeah. They're not going to wait 3 hours for a divisional game.
So I'm not going to say it's without risk, but I think it's more likely to play than not. But maybe that's the tiebreaker, and I just go with Houston, and then we're on the same page. We have the same rooting interests, and then I don't have to worry at all about the weather.
Tip to tip. Austin Eckler dealing with an ankle injury, uncertain to practice Wednesday. Do I even dabble in the you-know-what streets, Greg? Do I do it? Do I go pick up Josh Kelly everywhere?
I've got Josh Kelly on a lot of my best ball teams, so that would be not bad.
That would be fantastic.
Not bad.
My God. For Hill to be getting all the work instead of Gus Edwards was really like a dick kick for me in best ball.
Didn't they get the exact same amount of touches?
Yeah, but I'm saying that Hill got the touchdowns. He got the goal line work.
True.
Yeah.
That he did. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'll roll with Houston with you. So let's go Houston. I'll go Houston in single entry. And then what's my highest projected Astros stack? Do we have... All right, so still waiting on that lineup. All right, so my pitchers and my highest projected Houston stack are Jesus Luzardo and Alex Cobb.
Oh, so you have Alex Cobb. I don't know what to make of the pitches here. Good luck knowing anything about pitching from Gabe Kapler ever. Good luck. Like, Alex Cobb could pitch 70 pitches tops or like 60 pitches tops. He could also pitch 100. So, like, be ready for it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what my highest projected or my highest ROI Astros lineup is. It doesn't necessarily mean it's what I'm going to play.
I like it. Again, Luzardo, I'm so unbelievably here for. Red Sox Yankees delayed.
Yeah. I really don't think that game plays.
Okay, I'm taking it out, and then I can blame you. It's a win-win.
All right, there you go. You don't have to take any responsibility for yourself at all. Always a good way to do it.
Yep, and then you go on Twitter and I just say, see, you're an idiot.
Anything else at pitcher that you want to talk about here? I'm really spread out.
Sonny Gray, we didn't talk about. Tampa Bay also just smashes the face off of smashes the cover off the ball against righties over the course of this season. A 118 WRC plus, but 23.2% K rate. Still all right. Sonny Gray at home, all right. It's not anything that I'm like gung ho about, but I think my biggest issue is that he's 8,800 and that, might as well just get up a little bit more to some of these other guys because there's just exponentially more ceiling, I feel like. But if you need the 8,800, if you're building something out and you land there, or, you're looking for two sub 9K guys to get to be able to afford everything else, don't completely hate it, considering nobody's really going there.
My top 150 ROI lineups. This is how spread out it is for me at pitcher, Eric. These are the amount of, I can't remember the last time this happened. These are the amount of pitchers I have double-digit exposure to. Glasnow, Davies, Sonny Gray, Alex Cobb, Jesus Luzardo, Framber Valdez, Reed Detmers, Brandon Woodruff, Logan Gilbert. It's 9. I wish I could come out and tell you guys that I have some really strong stand to take, but I don't. I like the pitchers that are the best have a lot of ownership and it more or less seems warranted. And then there's just all these other guys that are kind of okay-ish if you're trying to pivot off of them. So if you guys are just playing a handful of lineups, I do think you just play the chalk at pitcher and build around Framber Valdez, Brandon Woodruff, and Logan Gilbert. But that's what the entire field is doing as well. I understand why. Man
must have a code. He has to stand for something. Or in Greg's case, you could be a coward and just play everybody.
Yeah. Or you don't stand up and you just sit on your chair all day and never move. That's another way to play it.
That's an option.
Mike, let's build some lineups in the lineup generator. Let's see, maybe this could give us some guidance, and we'll see what we end up building over there in the lineup generator. So we'll do some contrarian lineups for DraftKings and FanDuel, and we'll see what this ends up giving us. I have a feeling it's still going to end up being the Cubs, though. I know how these things work, and I know our data really likes the Cubs today, so it's probably what's going to show up. So, Mike, if you wouldn't mind putting the lineup generator up on the screen, and we could build out some lineups. And you guys also, if you are signing up for the lineup generator for the first time, use the link that we have below, and you will get a discount when you sign up for the lineup generator for the first time. Also, if you're ever looking to use the lineup generator for football, we've got it for NFL as well. They're separate packages, but NFL lineup generator, we have it for Showdown, we have it for Classic Slate, so that is also an option for you. Now, as for the settings, are you on board, Eric? We'll start with DraftKings, and we'll go contrarian lineups. Good by you. All stacked.
Perfect. Let's party.
No locks. Skip
the locks. Skip it. We don't need no stinking locks.
Yeah.
Just save. Boom, 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 boom.
Save 20 of these, and then we'll look and see what the exposures ended up being.
Daddy needs a new bicycle.
Keep in mind here, we might be getting to some of Yankees or Red Sox. Those are players who I am taking out of my player pool. But let's see. Stack exposures. Click on that tab for us if you would be so kind, Mike. So, yeah, we're getting to a lot of Yankee stacks, which, like I said, taking them out of my player pool. No surprise, though. We got the Cubs in, the majority of our lineups here. Any time where you have a lineup that is multiple players, it's going to show up as a stack type on here. So we're getting to the Cubs. We're getting to some of the Mets. We're getting to Arizona after that, which I can get behind Arizona. But Cubs, I haven't really asked you. Large field tournaments, Eric, and I know you say you're mostly focusing on some smaller field stuff. But if you were playing larger field tournaments, maybe you are even doing it in smaller fields, how inclined would you be to play a chalky Cub stack?
Yeah, I think a Cub stack is fantastic. I'd have them. That's kind of why I'm building out single entry with a different emphasis in mind. I still think you can get to Cubs. I think that it's not that big of a problem on this slate. There's going to be some diluted ownership now. It was diluted before. Now you're going to have less diluted ownership. It's going to be more concentrated considering we're losing games. You're probably going to lose Cutter Crawford as a cheapie. He was the one guy that it just felt like you just jam and play the Cubs with. That equation's a little bit in question now. And you also didn't get the 2K cheapie from the Cubs that I was expecting. So that was a bummer, but Still positive leverage in the top stacks tool here at Stochastic. Still a team that isn't all that cost prohibitive to be able to work out into your lineups. I have, a Cub here and there, even amongst, my 3-max stuff where I can get to a 1-off or 2 pieces. But if you full stack them and jam, it is not a problem at their current ownership.
Yeah, so like I said, large field tournaments, I have lots of the Cubs. It's my most rostered team by a mile. 40% of my top 150 lineups ended up being Cub stacks. For smaller fields, though, where you and I were just going back and forth, do we want to stack the Astros? Do we want to stack the Diamondbacks? I actually built out a lineup that I'm entering right now as we talk, and it has no exposure to the Cubs there. I've got just full fade of the Cubs, not even any of the hitters as a one-off, and at least for single entry purposes, I hope the Astros are the highest scoring team. And then for large field tournaments, I'm going to have exposure to the Cubs. Just the way it's kind of breaking out for me here.
Yes.
But I'm good with it.
Yes.
Let's see. What else? All right. So let's look at these pitchers that we're getting exposure to.
Okay.
We've got, this is so small on my screen for me. Framber Valdez, it looks like is that our first pitcher there? Framber Valdez? All right, so Framber Valdez, followed by Brandon Woodruff, Tyler Glass now, and then Reed Detmers. Yeah, so that we're really, really spread out at pitcher here, Eric, which I don't find surprising. Of the lineups built in the lineup generator, not a single pitcher in north of 30%. All these pitchers below 30%.
Daddy likey a lot.
Anything else you notice about these lineups, Eric?
Yeah, some people were asking about FanDuel. How would I handle Houston? I would still be trying to get to Houston because and it's going to be Ken Waldichuk for a majority of that baseball game. Seems like a good spot to be invested. I don't want to go completely nuts like I would over on FanDuel, mainly because FanDuel, you can just kind of do whatever you want. There's at least, like Houston, it's basically like a 1-for-1 swap where a lot of the lineups that you would build for Cubs and the pitchers you're going to have with them, I'm just inserting Houston because especially in 3-max stuff, they're going to end up so exponentially lower. But if you're playing the large field contest stuff over on FanDuel today, I have a couple lineups over there just to be able to work through. It is so easy to play Cubs. It is infuriating.
Yeah, we just got the Rockies lineup out, by the way. So that is Blackmon, Tovar, Jones, Chris Bryant, Ryan McMahon, Elias Diaz. We got Montero, Trejo, and Doyle in the lineup. So most notably is that we do have Chris Bryant in the lineup.
But Doyle rules.
Doyle rules. That he does. Perfect. All right, so let's see these FanDuel lineups. First, click on the stack exposures here, Mike, and let's see what we have. Yeah, so lots of Cubs, followed by the Astros, then the Yankees, which, we don't have to rehash that again. But look at that. Building contrarian lineups on FanDuel, Eric. We are getting to the Astros. How do you feel about that?
Much better. I like getting to them there. Maybe that's part of it, too, is that I think for large field tournaments, you're going to land on Cubs. Your chances of ruin if the Cubs have like a middling performance. It also depends on what that first place payout is too. I think that's one of the coolest parts about having the Sims tool is being able to have your lineups reflect what the actual payout structure is going to be in a contest. And if you don't know how that works, well, good thing we just have a tool that does it for you. You simply plug it in, the 30% number, the 25% number, the 20% number, whatever the payout is to first, and then those lineups get sorted accordingly. And it's such a small difference, but it's such a huge difference that it creates in your lineups. And that's where I think the Cubs make sense for a large field perspective for DraftKings. I'm happy, though, on FanDuel, where there isn't as big of a salary constraint on it, where, it's more middling pricing. I'm happy that we're mixing in some Astros over there.
And let's see what else is showing up in those lineups. Did you already close it, Mike? If not, it's okay. Yeah, I wanted to see what pitchers we were getting to on FanDuel. We looked at the stacks, but not the pitchers. All right, so pitchers, we're getting to most of Framber Valdez, then Brandon Woodruff. So very, very similar looks. I bet that we're going to have Logan Gilbert next. Yeah, Logan Gilbert. Magic. All right, so would want to be taking Cutter Crawford out, but still, you guys get a sense of Cubs stacks, Astro stacks, Valdez a pitcher, Gilbert a pitcher, Woodruff. That's what's projecting best for us, even in contrarian lineups here over on FanDuel. Anything else you want to talk about as far as the lineups go there, Eric? If not, we'll talk about some more stacks.
Let's go to stacks because I have some fire. It's going to be fun.
All right. Hit me with the fire then. Got that fire in your belly? Did you take the bus? Did you drive here?
Okay, rude.
So there was, do you know the context of that?
No, I don't. No clue. I'm very confused.
All right. So Jonathan Gannon, who is the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals this year.
Okay.
He gave like his first.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even watch it. It was so cringe. I had to turn it off. I couldn't finish it.
The first thing he says in the speech is, "Did you guys drive here today? Did you take the bus? Do you have a fire in your belly?" And I've been obsessed with this for the last week since I saw the video. I don't understand what the point of "Did you drive here or take the bus today" is. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. But anyway, you said you had some fire, and
I think he wants like a blue collar working mentality or something, and he said it in probably the worst way you possibly could. I didn't even hear that portion of it. I just saw him up by the little what is it, the thing that was like showing up on the screen or whatever. He's like by the projector, and he just looked like a goofball. Everybody's looking at him like, oh my god, we're gonna listen to this guy for the next however long. Don't wish to be an Arizona Cardinal or an Arizona Cardinal fan this season. And I say that as a Minnesota Vikings fan who not only did we lose to Baker Mayfield at home yesterday with my parents in attendance, sitting there just in order to watch Baker Mayfield be clutch and all that shit, but we get to go to Philadelphia on Thursday and get completely battered for the second year in a row. God help me. I hate football.
And there we go. It's on the screen right there. So that's the part where he's like, did you take the book? Because you said,
we're here for a reason is the thing I remember. We're here for a reason. And then he didn't say the reasons to win games. No shit. It is? Wow. What a concept. You're not going to do it, but hey, have fun.
Yeah.
Do you go get Josh Dobbs to go win football games? Is that the game plan?
There was because they were up early in the game. There's people pointing at it. It's proof that the NFL is rigged if the Cardinals end up winning. That's how bad people think this team is. If they win any games, it must mean that the NFL is rigged. They didn't. They ended up.
I had Washington 3.5 when
Commanders
line opened. So
Jeremy Savage in chat said, "Are you all crossing the Yankees and Red Sox game?" Yeah, I took it out of my player pool. None of it for me.
Mason Miller expected to throw 50 pitches or 3 innings on Monday. No.
Is it too much or not enough?
That's too much. Mason Miller is good, and it's not going to change Houston's ownership.
Mason Miller. Let's pull Mason Miller's numbers.
He's good.
Year. He's a good prospect. How has he pitched so far this year, though? Let's see. So Mason Miller has pitched, fairly well. He's got a 3.09 ERA, 3.09 expected ERA, striking guys out. Small sample size, only 23 innings. It's still a team. What's the ownership on the? Let me refresh this also to see if it's changed. We have
4.3, but same thing.
We've got the Astros. It's gone up a little bit. So we've got the Astros project for 4.4% ownership, but still a 9.1% chance to be a top scoring team of the night.
I did not read that. That is so tilting.
If he throws 3 innings versus 2 innings, is it going to change your outlook of them that much?
Well, it changes it mainly because nobody else is going to change for it. We're in a bubble. We're doing our thing. But I don't know, maybe the only people who are playing baseball today are people in the industry chat. Maybe that's the case. But something tells me that it's not going to change that all that much. Here's the thing. Also, Mason Miller, you go through his numbers. I'm just reshuffling it again. I just know that he is routinely just mowed down lefties at the AAA level. Jordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker were my 2 favorite bats to be getting to, because you're basically swapping out Bellinger. You're basically swapping out Nico Horner in terms of salary. And both of them I feel way worse about. He has a 29 ISO against lefties with a 27.9% K rate, a .078 expected ISO. That is so dumb. And he did it at AAA too. So it's not something that I expected to continue against everybody. And obviously Kyle Tucker and Jordan Alvarez can win any matchup anytime, but you don't feel better that it's going to be Mason Miller facing him, no matter what here. And then, possibly if it does turn over, there's a chance that they face him again if he's mowing guys down. If he gets off to a good start, he could pitch 4 innings. If 50 is going to be the cap, he could end up having 52 pitches, something like that. So I'm not thrilled. I'll put it that way.
Do you have a different team you prefer as a contrarian team then?
I love the Texas Rangers today, especially the lefties, pretty much only the lefties to a certain extent. Chris Bassett, for those who don't know, he is about as reverse splits, not reverse splits, as big of splits as you will find for any specific pitcher in baseball over the course of this season against righties. 19.7% K rate, but a 132 expected ISO. He strikes out lefties at a higher clip, but he has a 250 ISO against them, 212 expected ISO. My favorite home run play on the board, nearly for plus 400, but plus 390, Corey Seager. I could not believe I was getting Corey Seager at that kind of a number today. Fire that to the moon. So enjoy a sports bet there as we are working our way along. But in Toronto there, I know that they're not name recognition guys like Josh Smith. That's not going to make anybody super happy. Evan Carter's there, lefty who had some pretty good stuff down in AAA, Round Rock. But I just like getting to them as a contrarian piece. Robbie Grossman is better as a right-handed batter than a left-handed batter, but no matter what, I'm going to play guys against somebody who's got a 250 ISO at like 3% ownership on those guys.
I don't hate it. I'm still riding with the Houston Astros as a contrarian stack that I like quite a bit for this slate. They're very low on there. They're very low on 4%.
Well,
so
I'm starting to think
Mason
that
Miller.
One thing I like to do is, maybe get to the back half of that Houston lineup, because they're probably only going to face him one time, and then it'll be Ken Waldichuk. So like getting more to Abreu, to Brantley, to McCormick, getting to those guys, because people are going to still play Altuve. They're still going to play, Pena up in the 2-hole. They're still going to play Alvarez and Tucker. I think getting to the back half of Houston seems like a pretty appealing way to do it.
I have some exposure. I mean, in my single entry lineup, I do have like a wraparound of the back of the lineup to the front. But my bigger point about Mason Miller is like, if we thought he was going to throw 2 innings before, now he's throwing 3 innings. It's not that it's better for the team, but it's not substantially worse. He's throwing one more inning. It's the
50 pitch count thing that freaks me out, because if he's somebody who, goes out and mows a couple of dudes down early, he's not. Let me pull up his walk rate here too. That was the other thing that I didn't put into the sheet yet.
It said, but it's 50 innings. It's 50 innings, 50 pitches or 3 innings. So whatever comes first.
Right. So I'm saying that it has a chance. So he could pitch 2 innings. He could also pitch 4 2/3. No. 5. If he gets through 3 innings at 30 pitches, he's still out of the game. It's whichever comes first. Got it. I thought it was whichever comes first. I misread that
comes
then.
First. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that, like, is it that big of a difference? Like,
it says Mason Miller expected to throw 50 pitches or 3 innings on Monday.
So it's would I prefer if he was throwing 2 innings? Sure. But the fact that he's throwing 3 innings instead of 2, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, is what I'm saying.
I thought it meant, when I read that, I read it as if he's at 30 pitches, he would still keep pitching. That was the apprehension that I had.
Yeah. So it doesn't change the outlook of the Astros that much for me.
All right. Fuck it. Just going to play.
There we go. We're going live.
All right.
We got a question in the Discord channel from Einstein. Einstein wants to know, do I like Seattle today? Yes. I think that they are, especially now, what is the ownership? Reed Detmer's gone up a little bit in ownership. Nothing crazy. He's at 20%. But this is a guy who's been blown up in some of his starts. I think it makes sense to go both sides. If Reed Detmers pitches well, he's very cheap. He's going to put a very big fantasy score relative to his price point at $7,100. How he typically gets outs this year is via strikeouts. But his bad starts go very wayward. He's very home run prone. So I have 8% Mariners stacks, which is also about double the field. So I like Reed Detmers. I also like the Mariners as a little bit of a leverage stack, though. Is that a team you're getting to?
Yeah, a little bit. I have, Cal Raleigh batting cleanup at a catcher spot. Don't get shied away from lefties there too against Mr. Detmers. He's had routinely crazy numbers. 236 ISO against lefties this season. Wild stuff. So as you said, can be homer prone. Playing like JP Crawford, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez in one of my lineups. Julio just, he's pretty good at baseball. I don't know if anybody noticed. Jared Kelenic as well, back in that lineup. Going to be 3,600. Okay. Yeah. Jared Kelenic, I bet he doesn't do anything stupid from here on out, just breaking his hand or whatever he did, punching a water cooler.
No, he kicked the water cooler.
He kicked the water cooler. What an idiot. But anyway, he's back in this lineup. Jared Kelenic, one of my favorite one-offs, specifically because I saw those Reed Detmers reverse splits, and they're tasty. Nice to see Seattle actually roll with them.
Any other contrarian offenses that you are seeing that stand out to you?
Not a ton. I mean, it's it's not really all that appealing to get to the Tampa Bay, Minnesota side of things. It's just kind of a difficult ask. Colorado, I think, is probably always a good shout out. Mr. Weeks, as you're looking at him on the mound for Chicago, he's been lights out to a certain extent. 2.16 ERA, 1.20 whip, but just 3 outings. And he had 15 ground balls he induced last game, but has had a fly ball rate. Traditionally, it's been a little bit higher there at AAA. So Jordan Wicks, I think, having an opportunity in Coors Field against, obviously a bad lineup there. I was getting to a little bit of Wicks, but get to some of the Colorado guys on the other side. Specifically, you get a lineup upgrade there. Nolan Jones batting third today. Good to see him riding up there. Chris Bryant back in this lineup, 4,600, noted lefty killer. Wild to see him in this lineup again. I don't even know what is going on. It's like we just disappeared, and all of a sudden Chris Bryant's in after the weekend. Oh, good. He wasn't in this weekend. Good. I wasn't crazy. But getting to a lot of those pieces on the Colorado side, the lineup looks better than it normally does for me.
In your defense, though, who was really watching baseball yesterday?
Again, nobody. But yeah, still you still want to come in strong. I broke everything down last night, but I then saw news like after I got done, hey, Chris Bryant's probably going to get activated tomorrow. I was like, oh, son of a biscuit. But luckily nobody cared because everybody was watching football.
I did watch tennis yesterday, though. A little bit of tennis.
Dude, it's so good. The Mamba thing gave me chills. And I love Djokovic because he's traditionally been hated for so much different stuff. But Zverev, his talking about Djokovic hasn't changed. That gave me chills too. I had chills multiple times watching that after he had locked it up, where he was like, he's the same guy who was helpful before, and 24 majors later, he's that guy. So it was fun. But wait, 9 minutes to lock, 9 likes to get 100. Thank you, Yocastic. I love that. Thank you, Mike Lawrence.
Yeah. So guys, if you could do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, shout out that Caesars, if you guys have not taken advantage of the deal at Caesars, it's going to be going away in the near future. We don't have an exact hard date yet, but we know that this deal is not going to be around for all that much longer. And it's something you guys should be taking advantage of, because when you sign up at Caesars using the link that we have below, you make a deposit of $50, you place that first $50 bet, and they are going to give you 5 $50 bonus bets. So this is $250 in bonus bets in your pocket that you guys otherwise weren't going to have. This is a great, great offer to take advantage of over at Caesars. And it's that simple. Sign up with the link below, bet $50, and you're going to be getting 5 $50 bonus bets. Now, the way this works out is they pay it in weekly increments. So you're going to get a $50 bonus bet one week, next week, another $50 bonus bet. Still free money. Take advantage of it. If you or anybody you know has a gambling problem, call or text the number 1-800-GAMBLER. So, Eric, let's go. And anything else, by the way, you want to talk about as far as stacks go?
Nah, feel good. I'm kind of talking myself in single entry to in 3 max to playing Jesus Luzardo in all 3 lineups.
Okay.
I feel good about that, actually. I just think he's such a great point of leverage on today's slate, and nobody wants to do it. I love this Colorado side too. Kind of talking myself into more of them, but the Texas lefties, that's always good. I don't have anything else that really jumps to the top of the page. Gavin Williams, don't want to attack him. Alex Cobb, don't want to attack him. I think the Dodgers, you can always make a case to jam the Dodgers in a spot like this. The Sevilla character is not all that good, but I just prefer the Houston side still after we talked through it a little bit, where, again, Miller, I think he's a very, very good pitcher. And so it was tilting, but Ken Waldichuk is so bad, it takes 1 or 2 innings to get that lineup moving. And Houston has just been firing on all cylinders. You have the back half of this lineup with serviceable hitters. Brantley just been on an absolute tear since he got back. And you get McCormick in the 8-hole, had an unbelievable year. 1 through 8, that team is unbelievable. And Martin Maldonado, you just attach along for the ride whenever. So Houston still going to be the priority for me.
Same for me. I mean, it's in single entry. That's the team I'm playing. Large field tournaments, still the Cubs, though. I mentioned that's a team who, across 150 lineups, 40% of my top 150 lineups based on ROI in our Sims tool are Cubs stacks. Now, home runs. Should we do some home runs here, Eric?
Let's do it. Corey Seager. Good talk. Glad we had it.
All right. So Eric is going to be going with Corey Seager as his dong pick. What do I want to go with? Corey Seager. What are the odds on him, by the way, to homer also?
Let me find it. Plus 390, I believe, is what the ticket was that I locked in. Let me double check here. Phenomena. It might have changed since this. So again, I'm just pulling up my thing. Plus 360. I lied. I flipped the 9. It's a 6. 360.
Let's see. All right. Looking at some of the home run odds, see if anything stands out from that way.
Are you playing Arizona and the Mets? People want to know.
Yes. Yeah.
You're still playing it?
I think that game has some risk, but it's not unplayable. I view the Yankees-Red Sox game as being unplayable.
Yes, that's unplayable. This one you could take a shot on still. I have very, very little exposure to it now, mainly because both pitchers are just frustrating at the moment. They're both frustrating. I have neither of the pitchers either.
Home runs. So if we're gonna take the Cubs game out, because I'm not a pussy, not picking a Cubs here.
Davies does suck ass, Nicholas Robertson. I definitely agree with you. The problem is that his power numbers are down this season, and it's just a spot where I don't think I have to be forcing in anything. Again, DJ Stewart, that's the highlight star guy that I've been getting to. Brandon Nimmo, been getting to him as well. So there's still pieces I like there. But yeah, DJ Stewart really at 3,100 on DraftKings. I think he's cash viable. That's a real thing I said, even though probably don't want to have weather risk in any game that you're playing in cash today.
Mentioned before, Jose Quintana, 2% home run and fly ball rate this year. That is not going to continue.
No, it's not.
It regresses today. I am picking, as my home run call here, Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham, home overweight 2 as a one-off. That's going to be my home run pick. I like him going up against the lefty and Jose Quintana. Bunch of Arizona righties I do think are live to homer today because this fraud, Jose Quintana, this is my every 5 days I'm picking somebody to home run against him. And we're just going to martingale it. Eventually I'm going to be right.
Tommy Pham. Say, if you say the same thing over and over, it's like me with MVS in the AFC title game last year. Look, I told you he was going to do it. 25 spot, baby.
Yeah, that one, I think you could have gone all year and never hit it, though. Quintana gives up another home run this year at some point.
He can catch a football. Sky Moore can't.
Tommy Pham, nobody on that team can. Tommy Pham, that's the home run pick today. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Once again, shout out to Owner's Box for sponsoring the show. We've got the NFL Live Before Lock coming up a little bit after us. And if you guys want one free week of our NFL package, all the data included, our contest generators, you can build your lineups right on our site. The Sims tool, you can simulate all those lineups. But also, if you're just somebody who still wants stuff like projections, ownership projections, top stacks, so we still have all that included with our football package. Sign up at Owner's Box, use the link below. That is going to give you one free week of our NFL package. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Good luck with all your lineups tonight. Enjoy the football. Peace out.